A university targeted by the Trump administration over DEI just did something few people expected. George Mason University, led by Dr. Gregory Washington, he's the first black person to hold that office. The Trump administration's Education and Justice Departments have opened 4 investigations into GMU's diversity and inclusion policies. House Republicans on the Judiciary Committee are asking for an interview. They claim there is a pervasive culture of intolerance at George Mason that violates the spirit, if not the letter, of the Civil Rights Act. And the faculty issued a statement of support for Dr. Washington. With all this pressure, they were worried that he would be fired at a meeting of the school's governing board yesterday. Instead, he got a raise. Solon Simmons is here. He's the president of George Mason University's Faculty Senate. Good to have you, sir. I read that one member of the faculty called it high noon at the OK Corral when it came to the decision from the Board of Visitors on Friday. Are you surprised that, one, he wasn't fired, recommended a resignation, but instead that he got more money?
Well, look, it was a dramatic moment. I will say we showed up there early. I got there around 8 in the morning. We had protesters there, and by protesters, what I mean are just normal teachers just out there wanting to make sure to show support for their university. There was media. We had a really boring meeting. You know, these meetings often tend to be boring, you know, Robert's rules and what have you, and so on. Very quickly got through the main business, although they did pass a DEI resolution. I don't want to skip that over that. That happened unanimously without a discussion. And then finally, we got to the business of the closed executive session. I asked to be there. I'm on the board as an unvoting member. They held it in an executive closed session. So we were all just waiting. People waiting different places, behind the scenes, talking, chatting. You know, it goes on an hour. You think, okay, fine. Goes on 2, goes on 3. You're wondering what's going on in there. You know, people taking bio breaks and what have you, and you can't try to catch glimpses of what's going to happen. And then we went in, and then you sit there, and very quickly we were called to order. And then they passed a resolution. You didn't even know what it meant. But what it meant was they approved his plan, and he got a raise, probably gets a bonus, and he's allowed to join a national association that he wants to be a part of and is on the board. So it was surprising. I can't say that I didn't know which way it was going to go. And we were all kind of gaming it out and looking through the members and saying, which way is this one going to go? Which way is this one going to go? Because a lot of these people were new. So anyway, it was a surprising moment. We're extremely happy. I think it's great for the university. I mean, however the investigations go, just that we take our time and we allow the process to go forward. You know, we don't believe that there's anything going wrong, but we don't know the legal cases. You know, we don't know the complaints. So all we wanted to do in the Faculty Senate was just make sure we dotted the I's and crossed the T's and took our time. You know what I mean? And just allowed it to play out. And
let's talk about the complaints. It went that way. Let's go into the complaints, because there's a letter that Dr. Washington wrote in 2021, and he called on the university community to adopt a broader shared understanding of what best means in recruiting faculty and staff. And here's a part of the letter. If you have 2 candidates who are both above the bar in terms of requirements for a position, but one adds to your diversity and the other does not, then why couldn't that candidate be better, even if that candidate may not have better credentials than the other candidate? There's some people going to hear that say that, well, wait a minute, I've got better credentials, but I don't add to the diversity, so I'm not the better candidate. How is that appropriate? What's your answer to that in your support of Dr. Washington?
Yeah, well, I don't know. That came out of a FOIA request, so I don't really know the status of that and what's going on with it. As I say, that wasn't the experience I've had in any of the searches that I've witnessed or been a part of. You know, that's just not how I don't know how that was playing out. This is what I will say about this. Greg Washington said that when he came on in 2020, you know, it was a dramatic moment. I mean, it's hard to remember this, but the issues were almost exactly reversed. We had students, a huge protest that wanted to tear the statue of George Mason down. You know, we have a nice statue that everyone wants to take the picture with when they're graduating and all that. They wanted to tear that down and say, this guy's a slaveholder and, you know, we can't celebrate him. We need to change the name of the university. And so he is an African-American president. He came into a difficult situation. We were pretty calm through all that and relative to other places. And so that was the context in which he was trying to manage.
Do you agree with the sentiment of that message I read from the president?
Well, I think that everyone ought to be treated the same. I think all we ever cared about was equal opportunity. I mean, that's what I certainly stand for. And, you know, I think that we believe in diversity at George Mason. My colleagues very clearly said that. But you don't want to be biased against anybody. You don't want anyone to be discriminated against. That's not what this is meant to be about. And I don't see it at the university.
All right. Solon Simmons, thank you so much for being with me this morning.